Hello, and welcome back to Umineko. When last we left off, Beatrice made an offer of her magic to Shannon. As Shannon happily watered the flower beds in the garden, she sensed someone's presence. She turned around, thinking that if one of the family members had come to visit, she must greet them. But what she saw was that witch. Beatrice-sama. It's been quite some time. How are you? Has your relationship with the one you love progressed since we last met? As Beatrice sat on the rose arch, she happily blew on her pipe. Sitting in a place like that would crush the roses, and it might have been dangerous if the arch fell over. But this was a witch after all. Showing concern for her safety was probably a waste of time. Yes, thanks to you, it's going smoothly. Naturally, the effects of my magic are immediate. Perhaps you feel your meeting was a predetermined fate. However, that is a mistake. Don't even think fate has anything to do with it. I understand that. The witch was calling attention to something. Two things, actually. First, that Shannon's relationship with George was a fate that would be absolutely impossible under normal circumstances. Second, that the power of the witch was great enough to overturn that fact. Shannon had just gotten wrapped up in those sweet days, and had started believing the illusion that all fate revolved around her. But she remembered the witch's words. Originally, her relationship with George had been impossible. No, it might be impossible in the future as well. Sorry, please forgive me. It's just like doctors. You cling to them when you're worried about your health, but after you're healed, you forget even to thank them. I've never been thanked as a witch, so I couldn't help acting a little rudely. Forgive me. The gratitude I feel has never slipped my mind. It's thanks to your power that I was able to achieve happiness, Beatrice-sama. And without that power, the fate that brought me and George-sama together would never have happened. I have never forgotten that. Sorry. It's not like I came here to bully you. Being rude is just part of my personality. Do forgive me. More importantly, I heard. So you went on a trip alone with him? I imagine it must have been quite fun. Yes. It was very, fun. Shannon's face suddenly lit up. The witch laughed lightly, as though amused by the speed of that transformation. Already, the one you care for is more than the object of one-sided love. You are a pair of lovers now. When two people are filled with love, nothing else is needed to establish a complete world. Perhaps you could call that a wonderful, ideal world. Even witches would be jealous. Beatrice laughed pleasantly. That smile made her look as though she blessed the lovers' rendezvous from the bottom of her heart, without a trace of malice. After that day, Beatrice had shown herself before Shannon every once in a while. Even now, Shannon thought of her as an unsettling being. However, she was also indebted to this person for the magic that led to her current relationship with George. So Shannon tried with all her might not to act surprised or scared. That's right. Beatrice-sama? I bought some sweets as a souvenir from our trip. Would you, like to try some too? Oh? A souvenir for a witch? It seemed that even a witch who boasted of living for 1,000 years hadn't imagined that she'd receive a souvenir from a sweet lover's trip. When she saw that surprised expression, Shannon thought of this witch as a friend for the first time. Oh, an Eastern cookie made from wheat flour and lard. To wrap that in a Western chocolate is truly a blending of the Japanese and Western styles, the Silk Road of sweets. What? What's so funny? Nothing. My apologies. This witch, who surely held a terrifying power, was chomping down on sweets one after another, making a sound like a squirrel stuffing walnuts into its mouth. After a while, Shannon couldn't conceal her laughter. A good meal. I should serve you some dolce vita from Nero one of these days. Roses are the symbol of eternal love. I believe a rose dolce would be appropriate for you now. The witch was in a great mood, fully enjoying modern candy. Here. I truly am grateful. I believe you've done more than enough for me already, so I'm returning this. The thing Shannon had softly set on the table was a gold-colored butterfly brooch. There's no need to return it. If you continue holding that, your relationship should remain firm in perpetuity. Maybe it was the power of magic that brought us together, but I think only the two of us working together can turn that into something that lasts forever. Love and roses are the same. Too much fertilizer causes the roots to rot. Some flowers cannot be raised without hard work. In that case, do as you wish. You may wear it or keep it in a box. That is my goodwill given to you. Having you return it to me won't please me at all. My apologies. That's not what I... No harm has been done. That brooch is already yours. If you treasure that proof of our friendship, it would indeed bring me some comfort. You may hold on to it and gain its benefits, or you may keep it in a box. If you wish, you may even give it to another who is worrying about love. Or you could simply treasure it. Of course, it would pain my heart if you wasted it. According to Beatrice, she had appeared several times in the past in response to a person's summons to give them some tool imbued with magical power. However, when most people used that power to resolve their worries, they quickly grew unsettled by it, forgot their former gratitude, and threw away the tools they had been given with disgust. So it is quite rare for me to be thanked for my goodwill. In fact, this might even be the first time. The witch laughed heartily, but it looked like a sad laugh in Shannon's eyes. She herself had been like that in the past. No, maybe she was still like that now. Beatrice was definitely a witch, with a strange and terrifying power. Most people probably wouldn't want to stick around her if they could help it. Surely, even those who had relied on that strange power sometimes felt fear, rather than gratitude, as a result. It must have deeply hurt the witch to have that happen over and over. Since the time she had started thinking that way, Shannon had tried to stop being frightened of Beatrice. This was surely something that had tormented the witch for over 1,000 years. Maybe she really liked those sweets. Beatrice, who normally spoke abusively, praised the black tea Shannon served her, and looked to be in remarkably high spirits. After doing that for a while, the witch and the servant grew animated in their discussion of the trip with George. The things Shannon actually knew about Beatrice were surprisingly few. First off, she was a ghost-like being who appeared in unexpected places at unexpected times. And it seemed that not everyone could perceive that she was there. Apparently, everyone has something called a wavelength, and the ability to perceive witches varies greatly among different people. Only Shannon and Kanon could interact with her enough to exchange words like this. There were a few people who could sense her presence, but most people couldn't even feel that much. From what Beatrice said, Kraus and his wife in particular had zero magical talent. And no matter how much she followed them around, they would never notice her. Once, earlier, when Shannon messed up and Natsuhi got really mad at her, Beatrice had started playing around, hitting Natsuhi on the head with her pipe. I see. Natsuhi really doesn't notice a thing. But Shannon, watching that, had burst out laughing without thinking, and had gotten scolded even more. Then, what about the Master? I hear he's been doing research in magic, so I'm sure he'll be able to notice you, Beatrice-sama. Kinzo is the same. He also has a pitiful lack of magical talent. It's the blood. He has so little talent that I pity him. As soon as they started talking about Kinzo, it felt like the atmosphere around Beatrice changed. She had spoken about Kraus and the rest's lack of magical talent as though she looked down on them, but she spoke of Kinzo in a different way. Anyone connected to the Higurashi family would know about Kinzo's legend of the gold. According to that, Kinzo was given the gold after summoning the witch, Beatrice. In other words, she must have had some kind of relationship with Kinzo. That was because he succeeded, despite not having even a scrap of talent. He kept studying by himself like mad and managed to become a magician. And that's something really incredible, right? Indeed. The witch, who usually looked down on people, was uncharacteristically offering her praise. While she lambasted him by saying he had no talent, she praised his efforts. And then, the Master summoned Beatrice-sama with the power of magic. Indeed. Well, I only answered the summons on a whim. After all, in this period where magic has long been denied, here was a man who was without a scrap of talent, yet so desperate to succeed. I thought I'd drop by and poke some fun at him, and that's when my luck ran out. Her choice of words highlighted how much of a disaster this had been for her. Shannon hesitated over whether it would be safe to continue this discussion, but Beatrice continued on her own, ignoring Shannon. After all, his contract did have a proper format and a set of rules. Various procedures were mixed up, but, well, in deference to his enthusiasm, I graciously accepted his contract. Then, I gave him a mountain of gold. And then the Master used that gold and succeeded in business, and grew his wealth into what it is today. Indeed, his talent in magic was minimal, but it seems he had a knack for business and gambling. Or perhaps it was due to the bravery and madness that led him to risk everything on unreasonable bets. Madness sometimes acts as magical power. I see, if you look at it that way, perhaps it isn't quite fair to say he was completely lacking in magical talent. Shannon felt like she was daydreaming. While everyone in the Higurashi family knew the story of how Kinzo idolized black magic, summoned a witch, and received the gold, in actuality, it was all rambling that no one believed in. And now, Shannon was having the story confirmed by the witch herself. She felt a little flustered by this incredible secret that only she knew. Once Kinzo gained his vast fortune, he could realize every dream that can be satisfied by objects obtainable in the human world. And in the end, he searched for the truth of this world. The truth of this world? The single element that makes up the world. Kinzo, who had gained everything one can obtain in the human world, searched for that, the final desire humans seek. The single element. She seemed to remember the witch using that word before. When Beatrice saw Shannon trying to remember what that was, she laughed bitterly, waving her hand and saying there was no need to worry. I underestimated Kinzo just a tad. I truly didn't expect him to display such power. And thanks to that, I'm in this state. I've been sewn in place on this island for several decades now, without even a friend to drink tea with. No matter whom I try to talk to, my voice doesn't reach them, and no matter where I go, I cannot do anything. Such boring decades. As she laughed in self-derision, she tapped her teacup with her finger. It made the light sound of pottery. Shannon didn't know whether the word self-derision was really an accurate expression to describe the look on the witch's face. Shannon didn't understand everything, but she could more or less figure out the situation. And it was probably a topic that she couldn't press the witch on easily, not unless the witch started talking about it herself. To sum up everything she had said up until now, Beatrice, who had been summoned by Kinzo's magic, could not leave this island for some reason. And she had lost her power and her form, living her days in boredom. During that time, her words had reached Shannon, who never forgot to show sincere respect for the witch. And Shannon had helped the witch regain her power, if only a little bit. As a result, it was now possible for the witch to drink tea with Shannon like this. Beatrice-sama, what in the world was that mirror you told me to break? Ah, that. Long ago, it seems various things happened on the islands around this area. Because of that, malignant forces gathered here and began to draw in an evil distortion. It seems a traveling Eastern magician or something built a shrine for the repose of souls and sealed them in there. That in itself has nothing to do with me, but unfortunately that magical power rested on a different foundation than mine. It created a strong interference with my magic, and was extremely bothersome. Is that how it was? And I just assumed it existed only to seal you, Beatrice-sama. I was not its target, but it was a divine mirror. As a result, my power was sealed away. To use food as an example, maybe it would go something like this. Let's say the Western food I ordered is being made in the kitchen. However, when they try to set the table, the area for the guest seating is in the Japanese style, with Japanese-style dishes. So the kitchen is unable to serve a plate that would be out of place, and no matter how long I wait, my Western food won't arrive. Something like that. So, you destroyed that Japanese-style guest seating, and returned the area to a blank slate for a time. Thanks to that, the meal I had ordered was finally delivered, and my power came back, you could say. However, so far, only the aperitif has arrived. It will still be quite some time before the main dish. As I am now, I'm even more fragile than a shoe store fairy. Pfft. Hmm? What's so amusing? Nothing. I just thought your metaphor was pretty funny. I never would have thought to use a story about food as a metaphor for magic. I thought it a rather skillful comparison, but I certainly didn't expect it to be laughed at. I'm a bit offended. A slightly sulky expression rose to the witch's face. It wasn't a strange expression at all to be appearing on the face of some friends as they enjoyed their tea. Although I may not look it, I was known for doing extremely brutal things in the past. I've gotten soft. Now I can even have a foolish discussion while drinking tea with a human. She was probably talking to herself. As Beatrice gazed at the seabirds tracing the horizon, she put her tea to her lips again. The clouds have come out. When the ocean loses its brilliance, it's nothing more than a grey puddle. You think so? I think the ocean is a beautiful deep blue, even when it gets cloudy. Maybe the witch noticed the deep meaning behind Shannon's words. She laughed lightly and set down her empty teacup. It seems those things buried in your eyes aren't black pebbles anymore. How is it? Do you see how it feels for furniture to be reborn as a human? Yes. I never knew the world was this kind. Since the start of her relationship with George, Shannon's face had grown brighter more often. Her smile had made everything go smoothly and had even changed her fortune. Shannon made less mistakes in her work than she had before, and the family members' opinion of her was slowly starting to change. Just the other day, she had been surprised when Kraus, who rarely exchanged words with her, had suddenly started talking to her. You've been wearing a splendid smile more often lately, haven't you? Has something good happened? No, but every day is fun, yes. Wonderful. It goes without saying that coffee is more delicious when poured with a smile. Could I ask for that smile once more? Yes, sir. That had become a chance for Shannon to gain confidence in herself. Of course, it didn't go beyond her own heart, and it wasn't so big a change that anyone would notice. But she had begun to change, bit by bit. Shannon understood it clearly. Knowing love was the same as gaining a soul. The same as being reborn, from furniture into a human. There was absolutely nothing mistaken in Beatrice's words. By knowing love, Shannon had learned what it was to be human. These have been unusual snacks. It was time well spent. It's probably about time for you to return to your work. So let us end our tea party now. After all, it seems a certain person doesn't like seeing us drink tea together. Huh? The witch gripped a teaspoon and flipped it with her fingers, sending it up in the air. After that, it was launched by the fingers of some invisible person and flew straight into a nearby bush. The bush shook violently, and Kanon came out. It seemed he had been there for some time, watching their tea party. The spoon was gripped in his hand. If he hadn't caught it in an instant, it might have hit him hard in the forehead and caused him to start oozing blood. Do not worry. Our tea party is over now, Kanon. How long were you there? If you had called to us, I'd have poured you some tea too. I imagine that you didn't want to interrupt a pair of women talking, right? Kanon kept silent, but there seemed to be a slightly hostile look in his eyes. On the outside, he acted with respect. But unlike Shannon, Kanon did not trust the witch. When Beatrice hit the table with her pipe, the tea set turned into gold butterflies, which flew upwards all at once. They then scattered in every direction, and the cleanup was already done. It was fun, Shannon. Let us meet again if the chance arises. My magical power is still quite lacking. It's tiring even to show myself. If you're that tired, never appear again. Kanon said it in a small voice, but the witch seemed to have heard it perfectly. She giggled, but did not reply. Shannon, tell me more about George at our next tea party. There are no snacks sweeter than a person's love life. See you again. Beatrice's body also became gold butterflies, which scattered in all directions and disappeared. It was a fantastical and beautiful scene, like a blizzard of gold leaf. For a while, Shannon quietly watched the witch's exit. Kanon approached her from behind and spoke with an expression that was drastically different from hers. Nissan, didn't I tell you to stay away from her? Beatrice-sama isn't that bad of a person. Yes, she might be a little shady, but the fact that only we can see her is suspicious enough. That thing isn't human. Who knows what she might be planning? Kanon-kun, I think that's a little rude. There was a touch of sternness in Shannon's voice, which was unusual for her. To Kanon, who knew her well, she must have sounded extremely stern. Kanon, looking excessively surprised considering Shannon's tone, fell silent. It's true that Beatrice-sama is different from humans. She has a terrifying power, so I think it's right for us to fear and respect her. Still, I think it's incredibly rude to despise her just because she isn't human. I understand what you're trying to say, Nissan. You've changed ever since she gave you that brooch. It's like you're her prisoner. She brought you and George-sama together, and now you're indebted to her. Don't say things like that. That thing isn't human. We don't know what she's thinking, so you mustn't trust her. And we aren't humans either, Nissan. Kanon's words grew more serious. Those words probably gouged at Shannon's heart. She bit her lower lip and hung her head. We are furniture. Even if we receive names and are treated as humans, that won't change the manner of our birth. You are no longer furniture. Those words Beatrice had given her, which had made her happiest, floated through Shannon's mind. I am not furniture. No, you are furniture. We are less than human. Nissan, you're just pretending to have forgotten. Pretending to be human. You know that as well as I do. I'm not furniture. I'm human. No, you aren't. We have never possessed what it takes to love or be loved. Kanon's criticism seemed to have shifted away from Shannon's meetings with the witch. Shannon picked up on that quickly. I heard from Milady. Seriously, what were you thinking? I can't believe you would go on a trip with George-sama. You've forgotten your place as furniture. You've just been tempted by that witch, mistakenly believing that you've become human. Listen, Kanon-kun. It's true that we're furniture, lesser beings, inferior to humans. But if it were possible to make up for what we lack, wouldn't that be the same as becoming human? Such a thing could never happen. No, it could. If we can do that, we won't be furniture anymore. We can become human. Ridiculous. As if you could ever do such a thing. Kanon spat those words out, but did so weakly and turned away. He was probably giving up. After all the suffering he'd undergone during those days he lived as furniture, his heart was firmly sealed. You can do it too, Kanon-kun. You can become a normal human. Stop it, that's the witch talking. Yes, Beatrice-sama taught me. By obtaining the single element of this world, we can become human. Or rather, nobody's human if they don't have that. That's why people spend their entire lives trying to gain that single element. I don't understand what you're saying, Nissan. I don't want to listen to ranting. Then I'll teach it in a way even you can understand. Look, see what I'm pointing at? Shannon quietly pointed at the sea, towards the horizon. Kanon didn't understand what she meant, and couldn't do anything except look between the horizon and Shannon's expression, which seemed to be posing a riddle. The sea? Kanon-kun, what color does the sea look to you? It was an extremely simple question. For a while, Kanon tried to guess at the meaning behind it. But he couldn't think of anything, so he answered obediently. It's a hazy, dark grey color. So what? Objectively speaking, the sea laid out beneath a cloudy sky could probably be described best by Kanon's words. But as Shannon closed her eyes and smiled, she shook her head slightly. It looks deep blue to me. Is that what you mean? Like how Japanese people use the word blue to refer to a green traffic light? No. The sea is deep blue. If I understand and you don't, then that's the difference between us. Kanon bit his lower lip and was silent for a while. I don't understand. Kanon-kun, would you stick out your hand? As Kanon was taken aback, unable to understand what she was saying, she took his arm and opened the palm of his hand. Shannon softly set something there. It was that magical brooch, which she had received from Beatrice. A magic charm, shaped like a gold butterfly, that could bring love to fruition. This is hers? No, this is mine. So think of it as me, and treat it with respect, okay? After being spoken to like that, he couldn't just throw it away. Kanon didn't know what he should do, and he stood there confused for a while, the brooch still on the palm of his hand. Shannon put the palm of her hand on top of Kanon's, and the brooch was warmed by both of their hands. This charm holds true magical power. I'm sure it'll teach you an important emotion, Kanon-kun. There's nothing to be learned from that person's magic. No, there is something. So wear it. If that's embarrassing, I hear it's okay if you just hide it in your pocket. Ridiculous. As if I'd let the magic of that person lead me astray. Even as he said that, Kanon couldn't be cold-hearted towards something Shannon was urging him to take. In the end, Kanon took it and agreed reluctantly, saying he'd proved that he wouldn't surrender to the witch's power. Shannon smiled and nodded back. I'm sure you'll be able to learn something important from it. And I'm sure you can become human. And when you do, I'm sure this ocean will look like a beautiful blue to you as well, Kanon-kun. Gray is gray, no matter how many times you look. That's wrong, Kanon-kun. It only looks like that because you have no blank. 4 stars. Huh? Because of the howling wind, he hadn't been able to catch the main point of what she just said. So Shannon said it once more. The single element of the world. She spoke once more of the world where it existed, where the sea was deep blue. I'm sure you'll be able to see a deep blue ocean too. After all, without love, it cannot be seen. Who is that? It is Kanon, Master. It was rare for Kinzo to leave his study. However, the fact that he had didn't mean his noble research had been suspended. He may have left the study because of a change in mood. But that didn't mean the thoughts filling his head were any different from those he had while inside the study. Kanon knew that no matter what the time, speaking to Kinzo when he didn't want to be spoken to would always disturb his research. It's cloudy out here. Will it get worse? Yes. According to the weather report, it could rain at any time. Shall I bring an umbrella? It will not come to that. Leave me alone for a while. If my children ask, say that you do not know where I am. I am busy on a journey through my own thoughts. Certainly. Then, if you would excuse me. Before Kanon finished bowing, Kinzo had already returned to his own world, having forgotten Kanon's presence completely. And once again, he began rambling to himself. Amidst those words, the name of that witch popped up many times. Oh, Beatrice, my hand will not reach your smile. What can I do to revive you? What can I do to make you smile at me once more? What is lacking? My research, my materials, my catalyst? Or is it magical power or luck of it? Or is it magical power or luck or an oracle? Oh, Beatrice, what can I do to see your face one more time? Oh. As Kanon listened to his master's weeping voice with his back turned, he turned around just once. And when he did, right behind his isolated old master was the shadow of a person who shouldn't have been there. It was the witch. At once, thinking that the witch must be plotting to do Kinzo some harm, Kanon dashed back to Kinzo and tried to form a shield with his body. But when he saw the expression on the witch's face, that emotion of his vanished. After all, Beatrice's expression was sorrowful. Or maybe pitying. You fool, Kinzo. Can't you see me, even though I am here? right behind Kinzo as he repeated the witch's name over and over, desiring to be reunited with her more than anything else, was the witch herself. And yet, Kinzo didn't notice anything. When Beatrice tried to rest her hand on his shoulder, he didn't notice. Why does my hand not reach Beatrice's smile? Is it the age of the moon? The cycle of the comets? The alignment of the planets? What is lacking? What is? It's useless, Kinzo. Without love, it cannot be seen. Kanon took the brooch he had received from Shannon out of his pocket. By learning something new, would he become able to glimpse something that he couldn't see now? Without love, it cannot be seen. He looked at Kinzo's back once more. The witch could no longer be seen there. The biggest fall event for the Ashuramiya family was the family conference in October. But to Jessica, there was another major event that came before that, the school cultural festival. Jessica liked school. To her, it was a place where she could let out the stress she'd built up from the rigid lifestyle she was forced to lead at home. For today's cultural festival, she'd formed a group with her friends, and had announced that they'd perform some light music on a temporary stage. She had prepared and practiced for this over and over until today, always anxiously awaiting this day's arrival. But there was one thing that worried her. She looked at the clock. There was still a little time, but she felt uneasy. Would that person really come? After taking a single deep breath, her heart jumped when all her friends suddenly started speaking in shrill voices. No way! Hina's boyfriend's so awesome! Isn't he? Isn't he? Rin's boyfriend looks really smart. Is it true that guy's a glasses beast? No way, my husband will be a pretty boy. It may not be like this for all girls, but at least at Jessica's school, the cultural festival was basically a boyfriend exhibition. Jessica didn't have a boyfriend. She had many friends of the opposite sex, but no special only one. But Jessica was a little famous around the school, and everyone thought it'd be natural for her to have a fitting partner. Furthermore, her pride had led her to pretend that this was true. She'd somehow managed to keep them fooled until this year. But for various reasons, she hadn't been able to escape this year's cultural festival. Jessie, is your boyfriend here? What? No, looks like he's not here yet. Maybe he's busy with work. So what kind of person is he, Jessie? At least give us a hint. What kind of relationship? What kind of relationship? Awesome, so he's a working man? Will he come in a suit? Of course he'll be wearing glasses, right? Yeah. Hey, he doesn't actually exist, right? If you come clean now, we'll let you join us. Let's cry together through this year's cultural festival. No. He exists. I told you, he really exists. Jessica's bitter smile was covered with cold sweat. it was starting to seem doubtful whether she really had deceived her sharp-witted friends. Okay, then how about making a fake boyfriend and taking him with you? A fake? Who? I can't think of anyone who'd do that. Shannon's ridiculous plan surprised Jessica into hysterics. Even so, it was probably more realistic than the crazy methods running through her head about getting a boyfriend in the big rush before the cultural festival. For example, what about Kanon-kun? Kanon-kun? No way. Anyway, I'm sure Kanon-kun is working the day of the festival. And I don't want to bother him. Of course, I've already checked the schedule. Kanon-kun has that day off. Why are you always so clever when it comes to stuff like this? No, wait. It'd be even worse if he's off. I can't pull him away from a precious day off just for my own vanity. If you don't pull Kanon-kun away, he'll always be shut away by himself. So I think it'd be perfect if you could drag him out of his shell. You think so? No, but I'd feel bad for him. Then I guess you're out of options. How about meekly confessing to everyone that you don't have a boyfriend? True, it may be terribly embarrassing, but you'd only have to endure for the short and yet long time before graduation. To a pair of lovers, there's no sweeter honey than the face of a single person with an inferiority complex. Shannon! You aren't really worrying for my sake, are you? You're teasing me, right? Jessica wrestled about with Shannon, her eyes teary. But Shannon was unfazed, laughing with her usual smile. Yes, this is to get you back. Yes, this is to get you back for making fun of me and George-sama all the time. Listening to Shannon's comeback, the likes of which didn't happen even once a year, Jessica hugged her cushion and rolled around in her bed, pretending to faint in agony. She couldn't stand Shannon's smile, which looked so triumphant. But right now, she was the only person Jessica could talk with. She could choke her to death with her cushion later. Is it really so bad, milady? It's a cultural festival, but it's also a chance for you to have fun with Kanon-kun. No, that may be true, but... No. Jessica buried her head in her favorite pillow to hide the fact that her face had grown bright red. And she grumpily chewed the fingernail on her thumb. It really was a reaction to be appreciated. Shannon and Jessica were of about the same age, of the same sex, and friends. And they were both right in the middle of puberty. They could never talk enough about love. That's why they could talk freely about these topics to each other. So, Jessica had heard a lot about how Shannon and George's love was progressing. And Shannon had heard a lot about what type Jessica liked, what kind of man she might be interested in. Judging by Jessica's reaction, it'd probably be rude for us to go into precisely what those things were. However, this story won't get anywhere if we just have Jessica rolling around forever, so let's dive in. Jessica had been thinking about Kanon ever since he'd shown up. It was extremely rare for young men to visit Rokkenjima, so maybe it was natural for Jessica, a girl in puberty, to develop an interest in Kanon. But if anyone said that, it would destroy the romantic ideals of a maiden's pure heart and love at first sight. Shannon had been with Kanon a long time at the orphanage, so she'd known him since before they started working. So, Jessica had asked persistently about what his hobbies were, what his favorite food was, what type of girl he liked. Even to Shannon, it was clear that Jessica was infatuated with Kanon. Come on. Isn't this a good chance to take Kanon-kun on a date? But Kanon-kun might also have someone he likes, so wouldn't he take it badly if I made him go with me just to show off? People who aren't honest with themselves, like you, are... What was that word I learned from George-sama? That's right, I think it was tsundere. Apparently they'll be all the rage in a decade or so. Wow, George Nisan sure is incredible. Managing to foresee future trends like that. Awesome. No, wait. Are you saying I'm living in the wrong decade? Wow, I give up. It took several days of wasted efforts, but in the end, Jessica agreed to the plan of having Kanon pretend to be her boyfriend. Yes, milady. Did you call me? Jessica regretted calling out at such a bad time. Kanon always looked sullen, but he had some bad days and some better days. Unfortunately, this reaction was the former. No, well... All that confidence and effort she'd built up practicing in front of a mirror all night was wiped out in about 5 seconds. Jessica turned bright red and hung her head. When he saw that, Kanon sighed. Jessica thought that he was exasperated with her, and her face went pale. I heard from Shannon. This is about having me go with you to the school cultural festival, right, milady? Huh? Nice one, Shannon. I mean... Yeah. That's right, but, do you have any plans that day? I was strictly ordered by Shannon to work specially for you on that day, milady. I have never been to high school, so I don't really understand. But I hear it's a place where girls can be shamed if they don't have a boy with them. And I was given special orders to see to it that the daughter of the Ashuramiya family is in no way inferior to the common people. Wah! Shannon, I'll beat you to death later! Jessica kept yelling with a strange voice and a broken smile, like a tea kettle filled with boiling water. As Kanon watched this, he sighed again. Kanon wasn't an idiot either. He fully understood what Jessica intended by inviting him. But to be honest, playing along with Jessica's love game seemed like it'd be nothing more than an annoyance to him. However, Shannon had asked him over and over. He was deeply indebted to her, so he couldn't refuse. And that brooch was in his pocket. Could this strange turn of events have been brought about by the magic power residing in this brooch? Ridiculous. But he remembered what Shannon had said to him that day. Could Shannon see something he couldn't? I don't understand Shannon's feelings. We are furniture. As if we could ever become anything more. It was a truly odd exchange between Jessica, who was rambling on in a strange voice, and Kanon, who sighed deeply. Jessie, someone's here. Didn't you hear? Sorry. Who is it? As my friends all gathered together, they were looking this way with hard-to-describe expressions, whispering to each other in small voices that weren't small anymore. My attempt to play dumb felt pretty transparent, even to me. Did I really just say, sorry, who is it? Like, I don't know who just showed up? It's useless, my mind's going blank. Oh, we got a little jingle. Oh, just like with George and Shannon's date. I think the actual descriptions are the same, but we get a full look at Kanon's outfit. Yeah, these are the same. No way, that's Jesse's boyfriend? He's so cute! Wait, he's real? No way, seriously? Jessica, you traitor! He's incredible! He's younger? I never heard he was younger! Where's Jesse's boyfriend? She really isn't a little kid. Hey! Aren't you late? I didn't know where the entrance was. I must apologize for my tardiness. Right, that outfit looks really good on you. Wahahaha. Shannon said normal clothes wouldn't do, so we went and bought this the other day. Does it look strange on me? That's not true. Shannon, when I get back, I'll promote you 2 levels. It feels like everyone here is a girl. It's uncomfortable. Yeah, isn't it? Come on, let's not hang around here. Let's go to the stage, okay? Because I'll be up pretty soon. Come on. Jessica seemed just as uncomfortable. It looked like being bathed in everyone's interested gazes was hard on her. When he saw Jessica's appearance, Kanon thought he might have made things difficult for her by coming. I get the feeling I'm getting in the way. Am I being a burden? I told you, no way! Please tell me at any time if I start getting in the way. Yeah, no way, he calls himself Boku? There's no way you get in the way, Kana-kun. Yeah, she calls her boyfriend Kun. What would you like me to do, milady? No way! She makes her call him my lady like a butler. OMG, OMG! No, you can't call me milady today! Is that so? As you wish, Jessica-sama. Yeah, she's trained him to call her Sama? Sorry, Kanon, could you close your eyes for just 3 seconds? Yeah, a kiss, it's a kiss. She's gonna kiss him. As you wish. Bang. Thunk. Bam bam. Slam. Crash. By the time Kanon opened his eyes, a horrible tragedy had occurred in the room. Everyone had been driven into the walls, their arms and legs outstretched. Jessica had slipped her brass knuckles back into her pocket before Kanon's eyes opened. Anyway, let's go over to the stage. Our turn's coming up soon, so take a seat and wait for a bit. Because we've got to get ready. Go straight to the end here and you'll see a temporary stage. You'll know where to go. Please wait there. She pushed Kanon's back as he seemed to be having trouble moving himself, and chased him out. Even though Kanon was confused by Jessica's attitude and her panicky state, which he'd never seen before, he followed her instructions and headed in the direction she had indicated. After seeing him off with an awkward smile, Jessica slammed the door shut and yelled loudly. There you go, you saw, right? You saw that. Are you happy now? Wahahaha, sucks for you. Ooh goo goo goo, I lost the bet. I was sure Jessie didn't have a boyfriend. Are you sure that was her boyfriend? I'll bet she's just abusing one of her servants, right? Wow, Jessie's boyfriend's incredible. Shut up! Come on, let's get ready. When Jessica took the brass knuckles out of her pocket again, everyone energetically returned to their tasks. Kanon went down the corridor Jessica had shown him and ran into a temporary stage set up where the vending machines should have been. It was probably being rented by the hour by some group or club. The ones singing were student groups, but the crowd was still incredibly excited. Disliking that clatter, he leaned against a wall in the darkness by himself. So this is what they call high school. It sure is noisy. That's what Kanon thought. Then he remembered Jessica just now, acting in a way that he'd never seen before. Honestly, she was in such high spirits that alcohol might have been involved. To him, remaining composed and intellectual at all times was the highest virtue. In that sense, it was very hard for Kanon to get used to the atmosphere of a school cultural festival. He had a responsibility to report everything he saw and heard to the master. So he also had to report about how Jessica had acted without restraint earlier. At the very least, it was not fitting for the daughter of the Ashuramiya head family. The master, Kraus-sama, and especially Natsuhi-sama, will probably be angry. If I am to report it in a way that protects Milady, should I blame it on inappropriate school friends? What was all that? So stupid. Kanon thought back on how Jessica had acted earlier and sighed again. He could understand Natsuhi's headache a little now. Come to think of it, Natsuhi-sama, as the president of the PTA, was supposed to go to an informal gathering after attending the ceremony in the gymnasium. She said she wouldn't be able to see Milady's performance, didn't she? That's probably for the best. Crowds certainly are unpleasant. What in the world is going on? Several female students kept glancing at me. It seems they're all whispering the same thing Milady's school friend said, and it's truly unpleasant. Come to think of it, didn't Shannon warn me? If you walk alone at something like a school festival, you'd better watch out because lots of strange people will come and talk to you. Excuse me, are you by yourself? Just as expected, a group of girls I'd never met started talking to me. Their stares started to make my back tingle. Didn't she tell me some magic words that could chase them off in times like this? Sorry. I'm with someone. Oh, really? I'm sorry. It worked. Instant reaction. Well, that got rid of them. But it hasn't really changed the number of people staring at me. No, it's that kid. That's Jesse's boyfriend? No way. It's that kid? I can't believe it. I was sure he was fake. Isn't he cute? So he's younger? Lucky Jesse. There's no way I'll ever come to a place like this again. Kanon sighed for about the zillionth time that day. When he did, the lighting changed, and the standing audience started cheering. He looked around and realized that there was suddenly a large group of people there. And unlike earlier, they were mostly guys. With this huge crowd, he couldn't even see the stage. Fortunately, there was a fallen beer case nearby, so he tried using that as a footstool. When he did, he realized there was now a new group on the stage. Their leader is Milady. She's changed into stage clothes, and she's even holding a guitar. I didn't know she could play. Then again, maybe she can play. I've seen her practicing air guitar before. Natsuhi-sama wouldn't approve of any hobbies outside of study. Maybe she was always practicing in secret. Come to think of it, she's been returning really late from school recently, hasn't she? Maybe she's been practicing at school, far away from Natsuhi-sama's prying eyes. It really is for the best that Natsuhi-sama didn't come. If Milady were to get scolded by Natsuhi-sama after putting so many hours of practice in, she'd probably be dejected. Jesse-sama! Everyone, thanks for gathering here today. I could hear Jessica-sama's forceful voice through the speakers. Jessie-sama? Maybe that's her nickname at school. The students in the audience kept calling out that name. I'm a little offended by that crude name. It's inappropriate for Milady. Jessica-sama was in high spirits as they kept shouting, Jessie-sama. Everyone here was probably a fan. Her mic performance picked up on that and electrified them even more. It was almost like a music program on TV. At first, he thought this was all silly, but that feeling had changed into appreciation. It was incredible, in its own way. Kanon never listened to music of his own free will, but he'd often heard the kind of music the Ashuramiya family liked. Since it was almost all classical, Kanon had naturally taken a liking to that kind of music. So to Kanon, the song Jessica sang was, how should you say it? Extremely colorful. In any case, if Natsuhi-sama heard it, she'd probably faint. But everyone looked like they were having a really good time. Some diehard fans, who had even brought pen lights, sang along and danced crazily with the same movements, almost as though it had been planned ahead. On the stage, Jessica-sama also sang enthusiastically, dripping with sweat. He couldn't find a single element that was appropriate for a daughter of the Ashuramiya family. But it looked like so much fun. Jessie-sama! Jessie! Again today, behind me the sound of footsteps. Oyashiro-sama is stalking me. Curses, disappearances, sacrifices, torture. Onikakushi, does that make a good snack? Don't say Marissa! I must not go along with it, but at any rate, Milady is full of life and looks like she's having a great time. As I watched Milady enjoying herself, I thought, could this be Ashuramiya Jessica's true nature? Don't I know better than anyone that during her life on Rokkenjima she's had no choice but to kill her sense of self? So the time she spends, not as Milady, successor to the Ashuramiya family, but as a single girl called Jessica, living life to the fullest, must be very important to her. I've worked close to Milady, seeing her in all seasons, and thought I knew everything about her. But that was all limited to one side of her, the Milady of Rokkenjima. We are furniture. We serve on Rokkenjima and end our lives on Rokkenjima. So I've come to think of Rokkenjima itself as our whole world. As though, like in Ptolemaic theory, the ocean spilled off the end of the world into an abyss. But when I look at Milady like this, I can see how horribly narrow that outlook is. I still can't go along with the excitement of the crowd, but I feel like I can see something that cannot be seen on Rokkenjima. I'm not sure if this is the unseeable thing Shannon was talking about, but the ocean still doesn't look blue to me. And I believe we're going to end it there for this week. We will finish out a follow-up to this next time. But until then, thank you for watching. See you next time.